Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Trillium Tarot. This is Stephanie, and I am here to go through the Tarot of the Old Path deck. Now, this deck has been around for a while, quite some time actually. According to the little white book that comes along with this deck, it was initially created in 1990. However, this is not one that I've seen in a lot of mainstream shopping arenas and so on. So, of course, it intrigued me. We're going to start out, as usual, with the Major Arcana. Now, this deck is one that does change some of the names of some of the Major Arcana cards. So I'll make sure that I point those out as we go through here. We start out with the Fool, and then we move on to the Magician. There, that'll make it a little bit bigger on your screen there. Next, we look at the High Priestess, followed by the Empress. As usual, kind of have to wait for the camera to catch up and focus in on all the details. There we go, that's better. Here we have the Emperor, followed by the High Priest, or what's usually called the Hierophant. Next, we have the Lovers, enjoying a private moment in their garden. Now, this is another one of the Major Arcana cards that the name was changed. This is traditionally the Chariot. And I find this card fascinating because instead of the two horses or two sphinxes or dual animals pulling the chariot, this has four. So they're the four elements: fire, earth, water, and air. Or actually, air and water. So I really resonate with the elements and the symmetry of the elements. So I really love this Chariot card. Here's the Strength card. It's interesting that she has a caduceus coming out of the cup. Usually that's on the Two of Cups. I'm spacing on what the caduceus is usually on. Here we have what is usually called the Hermit card. In this deck, it's called the Wise One. And here's the Wheel of Fortune. Around the wheel, we have the King, we have the Peasant, we have the Fool. 11 is the Justice card. There we go. You can do it. All right, perfect. Here we have what's usually called the Hanged Man. This is the Lone Man in court jester garb. Now, the 13 is usually called Death, but in this deck, it's called the Close, which, I can understand that. When one door closes, another one opens, or when one cycle ends, another begins. So I can see the logic behind calling this the Close, since it does indicate the ending of something. 14 is usually called Temperance, but this one is called the Guide in this deck. And it's encouraging not to overindulge or to maintain balance. Pay attention to the difference between the dark side of you and the light side of you. 15 is usually called the Devil, and in this card, or in this deck, it's called Temptation. Now we're going back to the traditional names. This card is the Tower. I find it kind of interesting that the tower that's represented on this card has a human face on the front of it. It kind of cracks me up as I'm doing these videos. I notice details that I didn't initially see on my walkthrough. And I find that I want to just stop and stare at the card for a while and absorb it. But of course, I have to keep moving on. Otherwise, this video will be 3 hours long. We have the Star card. The 18 is usually called the Moon card, but in this deck, it's called Illusion. You can see the moon up there in the corner. It has the mud bug coming out of the water there, as is traditionally indicated. Oh, and you can see the reflection of whoever this moon person is. You see the reflection of her face in the water. This is the Sun card. I'm liking that phoenix on the sun, on the bottom of the Sun card. The 20 is usually the Judgment card, but this is called Karma, which makes sense. And finally, we have the World card. And we have the indications of the four main tools, the indications of the elements. We have some astrological symbols in there. So I really like the symbolism on that World card. So let's look at the Ace of Swords, followed by the Two of Swords. And then we have the Three of Swords, the Heartbreak card, the Four of Swords. This one is interesting because it's not representing somebody resting or rejuvenating. She's standing up and making her presence known. So interesting, completely different representation. The Five of Swords. I'm not sure what the guy in the background with the flag is representing with his horned helmet there and blowing a horn, but a Six of Swords. Very close, similar to the traditional representation. This person is crossing water, just not in a boat. The Seven of Swords. And here's the Eight of Swords. This person is not physically restrained or bound, but they're still trapped for some reason inside that circle. Here we have the Nine of Swords, followed by the Ten of Swords. The Page of Swords, followed by the Knight of Swords. The Queen of Swords, looking snotty and haughty. Actually, my first impulse is to think I want to punch her in the face. Obviously, I wouldn't, but that's what her face makes me think about. And finally, we wrap up that suit with the King of Swords. I am not condoning violence or punching people in the face, just so you know. So let's go through the suit of wands. And in this deck, the deck is called Rods. So there's the Ace of Wands, the Two of Wands, the guy balancing on stilts there. Here we have the Three of Wands. They're in the process of building something, working together to build it. Here's the Four of Wands. The Five of Wands. And the clothing is really interesting in this deck because there's the guy with the... he looks like he's wearing the shoe of one of Santa's elves on his head. You see the representation of those shoes with the pointy, curly toes. I don't know how he managed to get that puppy on his head, but I find that rather humorous. Okay, I'm just an overgrown child. What can I say? Here we have the Six of Wands, the Victory card, the Seven of Wands. He's built a fence to defend his property and his location, his retreat. Here's the Eight of Wands. Appropriate. Wands usually fly through the air, so do broomsticks. The Nine of Wands. And this poor guy on the Ten of Wands has no idea how to deal with carrying this burden. He's struggling. Here we have the Page of Wands, the Knight of Wands, I don't know what's going on auto. The Queen of Wands. And finally, the King of Wands. In this deck, the suit of cups is called cauldrons. So that's a logical comparison. That one's easy enough to remember. So there's the Ace of Cups, followed by the Two of Cups. Here's the Three of Cups. The lady in the front's having a good time, and the guy in the back is just hogging all the grapes. Here's the Four of Cups, followed by the Five of Cups. He's worried about the things that he's lost, or the cups that have spilled, instead of focusing on the ones that still have liquid in them. Here's the Six of Cups, followed by the Seven of Cups. The Eight of Cups, and the Nine of Cups. Fat and sassy merchant has everything that he wants or that he needs. Here's the the 10 of Cups, showing the happy family. The Page of Cups. I really love that blue color on his clothing there. Oh, and you know, all the other court cards have that pretty blue color as well. So there's the Knight of Cups, the Queen of Cups, and finally, the King of Cups. So we have one more suit to go through here, and it is called Pentacles, so that's the standard name for this suit. Here we have the Ace of Pentacles with a bunny in the foreground. Here's the Two of Pentacles, the person screwing around and balancing the two pentacles while walking a tightrope. This person is studying, learning something new. A really good representation of the Three of Pentacles. Here we have the Four of Pentacles. Someone holding on, don't look at my stuff. Don't even think about looking at my stuff. The Five of Pentacles. They've been through the mill and they have no place to go. Here's the Six of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles. This person has worked hard and is waiting for the harvest. Here we have the Eight of Pentacles, followed by the Nine of Pentacles. We need to focus on that. There we go. That's better. Just a few more cards to get through here. We have the 10 of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles. Oh, I'm going to have to figure this focus thing out because it's driving me a little bit bananas. All right, here's the Knight of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles. You know, I just realized it's interesting that I don't believe any of the knights in this deck have horses. There's the Queen of Pentacles, and she is obviously the image on the outer box of the deck. You can see that on the overlay there. And the final card is the King of Pentacles. So I hope you enjoyed checking out this deck. Like I said, it's not something that I've seen used very frequently. So in my mind, it's kind of an unusual deck. I will include a hyperlink if you decide that you want to purchase this deck. Please do feel free to purchase using that affiliate link. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed just seeing a deck that is a bit unusual and probably newer to YouTube. I will see you for my next video. Thank you.